All right.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Lender Chat, sponsored by KFP Investors LLC, your favorite mortgage brokerage for investment real estate. I am joined here today with my dear friend Sharon Conour, who has a great story. But before we get started, I have to do the disclaimer. So here we go. KFP Investors LLC does not give legal, tax, economic, or investment advice. KFP Investors LLC disclaims all liability for the action or inaction taken or not taken as a result of communications from or to its employees, contractors, clients, prospective clients, or participants. Each person should consult their own counsel, accountant, and other advisors as to legal, tax, economic, investment, and related matters, particularly those concerning real estate. All right, that's out of the way. Sharon, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you today and to share your wisdom and knowledge and limited edition personality with the group. So,
Apologies in advance, everyone.
so tell us a little bit about yourself.
I full time. I am an integrative life coach for women who want to feel amazing about money in general, spending it, investing it, and about their own capacity to be a high income earner. And also, I'm a long time, multi-decade investor and not a multi-decade lender. I've been in lending. I was trying to do the math here. I've been like 9 years. I've been lending.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into real estate investing?
I consider myself like coming out of the womb, basically, with a healthy obsession with houses. I think I was just part of that. I was just born that way, but I didn't actually buy my first until I got out of this is probably not what people expect to hear, but I got out of a 12-year terrible marriage. And the first thing on my list was to buy a house, but buy an income producing property
Okay.
as the first thing. It's like my first line of business to start my new life. So that was 2003, I think. I did that.
So I'm curious, why was that your focus for your first step to start your new life? What led you to that, do you think?
Because it had always been something I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So through that 12 years, I was uh, I thought not able to, because the person I was with was not a mindset that he had. He was
Gotcha.
raised in uh, rental apartments, and that was just not part of his reality. So
Hmm.
it was too much, and it was too much for me to overcome at that time in my life to go
Right.
ahead and do it anyway. I probably
Right.
would give myself different advice about that now, but
Okay. All
yeah.
right. So what are you doing with investment real estate now?
Um, a lot of what I do, I think you're the same. I'm a super connector. So one of the one of the things I do, and I don't know, it's probably dominates a lot of my time, is supporting the real estate community, connecting different people, even if I'm not involved. I think you should definitely know each other, because in the end it really benefits all of us. So
Hmm.
we have this ecosystem. Some people are in different phases. Some people are in the buying phase, some people are in the selling phase, some people are somewhere in between. And so I learned that I don't know, this community is what makes it a
Hmm.
lot of fun to
Hmm.
do my
I
job.
agree. Hmm. And
So
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No.
You're in leadership with Real Estate Investors Nashville, correct?
Yeah. So I'm on the board for rentn.org. Very hard to find on Google right now. So you just have to REINTN.org it. And that certainly helps. But even if I wasn't, I just love the idea of doing this together. I basically don't do deals on my own anymore. I
Mhm.
partner with people in all kinds of ways. So, I mean, to answer your question more specifically, I still have buy and hold rentals from that I bought. I haven't bought anything for probably 5 years, 4 years, 4.5 years now. But I still
Okay.
have my darlings. And then I also have passive investments with partnerships and the lending. And the thing that I'm real obsessed with now and have been for 3 years now is creative deal structuring. So finding ways to solve real estate problems. This is an aside, but last night I happened to be out at drinks with somebody who I didn't know, a friend of my husband's, who talked about the crash in 2007 when he lost his house. And this
Mhm.
is a lawyer, by the way, someone who was a high income earner. And I was like, oh, that never had to happen. It didn't have to happen. There was a way to fix that, and so many people benefit. And so creative creative solutions is
Mhm.
my the way I like fell in love with real estate all over again.
Mhm. Mhm. So, what are maybe an example or two of some of your favorite creative deals?
Mm. To oh gosh, there's my favorites are the real juicy, complicated ones where there's like, um, I want to sell my house, but I don't want to sell it I don't want to move out. But also I need to have some cash out for buying a car. Like there's just, and the puzzle of that
Uh-huh.
is actually, some people, I mean, definitely, don't get me wrong, makes my head hurt, but I love to be challenged. So for
Yes.
me, that piece of it makes it the most fun. And then when you solve it, it's like,
Yes. Yes. I feel exactly the same way and I use the same terminology, the puzzle.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
when you have this expanded awareness of all the different options
Mhm.
you didn't think would go together, that you could
Mhm.
both sell a house to somebody and also have them be a renter or whatever. But
Mhm.
the things that you hadn't considered, then you go, uh, oh, there's turns out there's so many more ways to make money in this business than people than buy and hold or
Mhm.
short-term rentals or the things that I was taught.
Right, right. I think you're right. I think that's a big part of why I like to do these recordings and post them so that folks understand. I think there's a mentality among real estate investors, particularly among the newer folks, that
Mhm.
the recipe is you wholesale until you flip, until you buy and hold, until you get to
Right,
large multifamily.
right.
And that's a great recipe. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
It's just not the only recipe. There are so many ways that you can get into real estate very actively or very passively. And I think you're right. It does boil down to so much um, knowing a lot of people who do these things because they have ideas that you haven't thought of yet.
right. And they give you like all skill, like they give you a little piece and then you it's sort of like, I love that you use the recipe analogy because that is kind of Like I learned to cook from a recipe, and
Hmm.
now I just go in the refrigerator and see what we have because I'm actually quite a good cook now after years of
Hmm.
doing it, right? Now I
Yes.
just go, what have we got? And I'm going to make something from whatever we have. I'm not going to the store. Let's be honest.
Right. I'm
It's a lazy
exactly
girl.
the same way. Yeah. There's actually a little bar stool in our kitchen so that my husband can just sit down out of the way and go,
What's
"What are
happening?
you gonna do with all that stuff you just put on the counter? What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but it'll be food and it'll probably be pretty good."
It's going to be fine. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
And once in a while, it's
Yeah.
totally terrible, and that's fine too.
Yeah. And if it's not very good, we'll just add cheese and then it'll be fine.
Good life advice.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with just add more cheese. It's fine. Oh, very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So, so what kind of deals are you potentially looking for right now? Do you have a buy box, so to speak? Even though, I mean,
Mm,
I understand you're not necessarily buy and hold right now, but
right.
what is your focus at this time?
I would love to do some subject to deals. I do have a passion for helping people get their first house. I can't buy the houses for everyone, so if I can do a subject to purchase and then wrap that to somebody who's not necessarily, bankable, and I
Uh-huh.
can make that work in a way that's legal, because there are some
Right.
right, some sticky points in that, but I do love subject to. I love helping people get their first house, as I think that's so important for your potential wealth in the future,
Yes.
right? It's not that easy to get ahead if you don't ever have property.
Right.
What else am I really into right now?
Mhm.
I like and part of, like I said, like the deal that just can't be done. The divorce that's urgent, and there's all these factors,
Mhm.
and I can bring the community that I've got. I don't have all the answers for sure. I don't have, most of the answers, but most of the time I can put one breadcrumb down, or I can connect you to one person who can help. And
Right.
there's sometimes financial benefit, sometimes just emotional benefit, but I think that is why I've done well, is I'm
Uh-huh.
super passionate about the process, and I don't worry
Yeah.
quite so much about the dollar amount right now.
Mhm.
It's, it it works. It just works for me. I love
I
helping,
have said many times that I firmly believe you can't go broke by doing the right thing.
and being
You
and
just
being
do the
a
right thing and
service. Yeah,
mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
just do good business and the money comes.
yeah,
Um, that doesn't have to be, your prime is, how much money can I make off of this? It's
right.
do the right thing. How can I solve this problem for everyone? And then, yeah, I believe in that very firmly. Do good
Yeah.
business and the money will come.
And it's worked in outside of real estate for me as well. Like it's easy for me to say
Mhm.
now, or someone might say, easy for you to say now, you've already gotten where, what a lot of people would want. But I was this
Mhm.
way when I was a computer engineer in the beginning, and I was a junior, and this is the same attitude I had with that, which
Yep.
was how can I help? How can I serve? What is my like unique skill that I'm bringing to this, and do that, and
Mhm.
really, really just enjoy the team and the
Mhm.
process and what I was doing thoroughly. And literally, I tell this story a lot to clients, literally would just get bonuses randomly. And I would be called into the CEO's office and think I was getting fired every time. But I wasn't. I was like, what are you doing? I love this. I'm not going anywhere. But that's how it worked. So I was just all in.
So you regularly got called into the CEO's office Sure, you were getting fired every time, and you were in
Mhm.
fact getting bonuses
Bonuses. Yes.
completely unexpectedly.
Out of the blue, not on schedule at all. Just they didn't want me to go anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes. I think I'm
Yeah.
getting fired, but instead I'm getting praised.
Yeah,
That's very
yeah, it shows a little
interesting.
bit of my crazy, that's true. But, but also it's how that is the same attitude I bring to everything. And it just, I can tell
Yeah.
you over and over and over, it seems like it's counterintuitive, but that is um, how success has happened for me.
Mhm. I can see that, when the response to, well, that's easy for you to say, look where you are. Yes, but that's how I got here. That's
Right.
that's the whole point. Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. So, do you do I mean, I already know the answer to this, but it's an interview, so I can't speak for you. Uh, Tell us how you, maybe specifically, how you get other investors, how you help them get launched. Like, I know
Mm,
you're part of the women's brunch group and various
yep.
other groups, and lots
Yeah.
of education opportunities.
Yes. I think the I think the biggest way that I get other people launched is that I can't shut up about how fun real estate is. Honestly, like literally people are like, I never thought I wanted to do real estate, but here I hear you talk about it. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, maybe there's something here because you make it sound fun. And then I forget all about the conversation we have. And then they show up at one of those meetings, but
Uh-huh.
it happens somewhere totally different. So I think it's primarily my enthusiasm. And then I do probably like you, I take a lot of calls from people
Mhm.
to give of my time to give back of my time and experience. Like this community does that because I do the same thing. I call people too to ask for
Right,
help. And it's
right.
one of the things I love. I used to be in a car club, super random. Used to be in a car restoration club, and we would get together
Really? Okay.
every Saturday morning and help each other work on each other's cars. I love that community. And this is how it is. You know, we're in Nashville. It's maybe not like this everywhere. I don't know, but for
Right,
sure, it's that way. Oh, and we know Ohio's like this too.
right, right.
It's it's a real help each other out type of
Mhm,
deal.
mhm. Yeah. And for folks who may be listening, we Sharon and I are both just outside of Nashville. As we mentioned, Real Estate Investors Nashville, a chapter of Real Estate Investors Association, and our chapter is closely affiliated with some of the Ohio chapters. And Sharon and I are actually very excited. In a couple of weeks, I think 2 weeks from today, we start
Yeah,
our ultimate
road trip.
deal, creative
Yeah,
deal workshop for 4 days in Cincinnati. Are we going to
yeah. It's
Cincinnati?
Mason, Ohio, but it's just
Mason,
outside of
Ohio.
Cincinnati. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So folks, even if you, first of all, if you're not in a real estate investors association, I encourage you to become a member as soon as possible. But don't be limited by geography. If there's an association that you can offer benefit to and they can offer benefit to you, then join up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Agreed.
I Ren has been completely life changing for me. Ren
Mhm.
is the reason that I have an investment business.
Mhm.
So I can't say enough about that.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned so many different pieces of advice you would give yourself. So one of the questions I always like to ask is, if you could give your younger self three pieces of advice, what would they be?
Sunscreen for sure. Wear sunscreen.
Was
my
not what I anticipated.
my
Okay.
grandmother used to chase me with sunscreen and I would run. I don't know what I was thinking. Idiot. Wear sunscreen, but also
Wasn't
Well,
that
see,
like a graduation song in the late
it
90s?
was from the
Always wear
80s.
sunscreen.
Oh, sunscreen. I love that song. That song has a lot of good advice in it. Sunscreen is definitely one of them. So definitely do that. I think, let me think. The advice that maybe I wouldn't even have taken, but I would definitely try to give it to myself is to be willing to mess around and find out more quickly. Like even if I had decided I was going to buy while I was with someone who didn't want to buy, like be willing to explore outside the edges, be willing to remember that failing is actually evidence that you're doing some stuff. It actually means I now know it means I'm doing something right. In retrospect, I could definitely see that. And I did a lot of this, but I think I would double down on focusing on the hard skill of enjoying the process, no matter what. So the not looking at the end goal, but really going, how can I make this process of learning to become successful in real estate really fun and joyful, and that process would be without thinking about the necessarily the monetary, because that doesn't really motivate me. But the more I can enjoy the process, the more I do, and the more I do, the more success I get. So it comes down to be willing to mess it up, like really practice learning how to mess it up.
I love that advice. I haven't posted it yet. But the last recording that I did, the gentleman and I were discussing, I think that for so many people, the greatest hurdle is just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
And there's such a fear of failure that, um, first
And
of
it's,
all, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But please go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was going to say it. I think the stakes seem higher here, right? It's like, well, I can't
Yeah,
fail in real
they
estate
do.
because I'm going to lose $20,000. That doesn't
Right.
seem. But and you might. I have, I have definitely lost that much money, and I'm so glad because guess what? That is part of my story, and I just didn't stop. But you can also fail in the deal that didn't happen. You can choose to
Mhm.
fail for ways that aren't not so expensive either, and do that on purpose, because that's actually the skill that you need.
I was typing because I was looking up this quote. I have to look it up every time, but it's one of my favorites. As an inventor, Thomas Edison made over 1,000 unsuccessful attempts at inventing the light bulb. When a reporter asked, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? And his response was, I have not failed. I have found 1,000 ways it doesn't work.
Hmm. Yeah. And a lot of my fails turned out to be things that worked sort of. Like I thought I was going to have 30, well, I thought I was going to have 80 buy and hold rentals. That was my goal. I got to
Really?
36 and I was like, no, this is a terrible idea. This is not working. This is too much and not scaling and not as much cash flow as I thought.
Right.
I failed at that goal. And like I said, I kept my darlings. I pivoted, but it was technically a fail. I
Yeah.
never did hit that goal. And thank goodness, because I've got a lot sharper and smarter along the way.
Right.
And I
Right.
found because of that fail, and not giving up, I just pivoted and I kept finding new ways, like creative deal structuring, which I don't know what I would have done if I never found that. I would have been a miserable human.
So you mean to say going to your local bank and applying for a mortgage is not necessarily the best way to buy real estate?
Things make me cry. It's so make me cry. I mean, no offense, but yeah, it's so much more fun to add my brain to it. I mean, it's
It,
it's
it's it
it's art.
also, I feel like the scope for the buy box for banks for the most part is very, very, very narrow.
Right.
Uh,
There's no art in that. There is no room uh, for genius
mhm.
in that.
And no offense to our bankers. I spent half of a lifetime in banking, and I loved what I did. No offense to our bankers. The what banks do, they
Yeah.
do very, very well, but it's this much of this much.
Right. Right. I have a bank loan on my primary home and I'm so grateful for it. And I probably always will. But
Yes,
that's not my investing. That's not my investing life.
right,
I want
right.
to do I want to color with my investing life and work with people like you and work with and empower other people at the same time. I mean, it's just so much more that can be done on the same deal.
Yes, yes, yeah. I agree with you. I think that's part of the strength of KFP investors, as well as you know, with one of my other entities, Aunt Sally LLC, is
Mhm.
the creativity. Somebody asked me recently, like, what does the ideal transaction look like for Aunt Sally? And I was like, the whole point is that there's not an ideal. That's the point. They come to
Love
Aunt
that.
Sally when they couldn't get through conventional lending. They couldn't get through commercial bank lending. They couldn't even get through non-QM lending. That's when they wind up with Aunt Sally is it's still a good deal. It just doesn't fit any of the boxes.
Right.
So,
And that doesn't
uh,
make it a problem child. That just makes it okay, what's the artistry we need to bring to this?
right.
And I think I told you this before, but this is what I heard about you. No one ever talks glowingly about lenders, right? And I didn't know you and people were doing that. That's how we met because friends of mine, other investors were saying, she figures it out. She just finds a way and she figures it out.
Well, thank
So,
you.
yeah,
Thank you. I think that's same recognizing same, right? Uh, uh, in a lot of ways, our minds work very, very similarly. So I
yeah,
really enjoy that with you as well.
yeah, you're
So,
sorry.
no, please.
No, I said you're stuck with me. You're-
Well, that's convenient for me, honestly.
but
It's very convenient. Um, so, how can we and our network uh, uh, offer you resources at this time? What are you looking for? What would you like to have more of?
um, I would love for people to join our creative deal structuring uh, group. So this is another plug for my real estate group, Ren TN. But we want first Wednesday of the month, 9 a.m. Central. We host a creative deal structuring group where we do a little education usually, and then talk about real deals. That
I love that.
brainstorming, we bring the artistry to the deal, and so I'd love to have more of our community join that because the merrier. That and if anyone needs to, especially people getting started, I'm very happy to chat with people getting started and find out who I can. They want to do a subject to deal, but they don't have a lawyer. Whatever. I'm here for
Right.
all that as well. Like I said, the next step forward, I will definitely help you.
I think that's part of what I want newer folks to know as well is when you come to these meetings, especially something like the creative deal structuring, you are not expected to come with the answers. That's the
Mm-mm.
point of the group, is that
Mhm.
we ask questions of each other and use the resource of everyone's
It's
collective
total hive
intellect.
mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's total hive
Yeah.
mind, like I said, that's why I said I do not have the answers. I know a few things, and I know mostly what I know is people
Mhm.
who've done these, and that helps me because even stuff I know, I forget. Oh yeah, that's an option. No pun intended. Option
Mhm.
fee.
You know, I have to say you do know a lot of people because I try to just tell stories and keep the innocent protected by just saying Sharon, right? And everybody goes, "Oh, you know Sharon?" And I'm like, "I'm trying not to expose her here.
To
So
give
I'm going to have to start calling you something else."
Yeah, well, you should know that my nickname was Nerd for a long time, Nerd. But
I
also I
can't
have
imagine
three
why.
sisters, Joy, Hope, and Cherish. So the fact that my
Joy,
name
hope.
is Sharon and Cherish. So jokingly, my friends called me Destiny for a long time.
Okay.
They were like, that was supposed to be your name.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Little known
uh
weird facts. Sorry.
I you know what? A friend of mine recently told me that she has twice had to be get rabies shots because she was bitten by wild dogs in Africa. And I was like, I've known you for 30 years. How did I not know this fact? This is totally the icebreaker at parties. How are
I
you not sharing this?
Well, and I also, yeah, I need to know her because that says so much about her. We're
Right?
definitely going to be
Yeah.
friends.
Um, so Sharon, how can we reach you? How can we contact you?
Uh, Probably Instagram is the easiest. So if people want to look at Sharon first name and then just my last name, Conour. You can also find me that way on Facebook. And then my email is Sharon at butyouaresogreat.com.
I love that. But you are so great.com.
Great.
That's fantastic. Very good. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today
Thank
and
you.
sharing your wisdom. I deeply hope that folks will reach out to you because you are an incredible resource and super positive. And I love that if there's a way, you will find it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you so much for this. It's always good to talk to you. Any chance I get.
Well, thank you. And just as a reminder to everyone, live lender chat is at 4:30 Central Time, Thursday, April the 20th. So go to kfpinvestorsllc.com to get more information. And thank you so much. We'll talk to you
Right.
soon.
Okay. Bye.